You know, the Nutcracker Prince. Well, the Nutcracker's already a funny name already because you know the Nutcracker. I mean, it kind of sounds like kicking someone in the balls or something. But anyway, but my student mispronounced it and accidentally called it the Buttcracker.
Are you hanging up, starting on your wall? It's the time that every Santa has a ball. Does he ride a red-nosed reindeer? Does it turn upon his sleigh? Do the fairies keep it so for a day? So here it is, Merry Christmas, everybody's having fun. Look to the future now, it's only just begun.
Hello, and welcome down to the abyssal lair of the Radiophonic Sea Creatures. Give me a 5 and an O, but not the 5-0 because I've got a huge baggie of cocaine stuffed down my underpants because I, Tokyo Choo Choo, am going to be your host today. And with me as always are two men who both look 50 and both like 50-year-old slack fanny snatch. It's Human Metal and Brack. How are you today? How are you, Human Metal?
Excuse me, I've recently been told that I look not even 30. So shut up.
That's a goddamn fucking lie, you old codger. How are you today, Human Metal?
I'm fine. That's it.
Alright, fair enough. And you,
Brack?
Brack.
I'm alive. It's okay. I'm good. I'm doing well.
You
Not
think-
dead yet.
Well,
Even though I'm 50.
you know,
I'm not.
existentially, Brack, we're all dying. So, there's that. Merry Christmas, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
I am probably dying. I'm actually quite sick today, so excuse me if my voice goes all raspy. I'll do my best Christian Bale. Where's the trigger? Where is it? Okay, so Human Metal, what's on your list for the Shallows this fine eve?
Nothing.
I told you that before.
I don't
It's your
fucking-
guys' show.
I don't
He
fucking
doesn't
listen.
have that.
I don't listen to you.
Nobody listens when you talk.
Yeah. You think
Just talk 5 minutes about some anime shit or something. So
Exactly.
I wrote it to you. Apparently you're both not able to read.
Oh
No.
man, like
not reading. Look at me. Look at me. Do you think I'm not somebody who watches like anime and reads subtitles? I watch up like an American.
Human Metal, we have 50 episodes of practice of drowning you out, so it's just become it's just become what we do. So how about you, Bragg? What's on your Shallows list?
I actually have something on my list. I actually have something Christmas spirity. Some new TV show that's like all Christmas themed and everything. I'm talking about the TV show Happy. I'm not sure if you've heard or seen about this.
Yes.
Yeah, Happy is about this ex-cop turned hitman, and he's like an alcoholic, and he does a lot of drugs. And during the opening scene, you see him like imagine how it looks like if he blows his own brains out, and then he dances with like blood coming out of his head while Christmas music is playing. So, like I said, Christmas themed, and they're also, but he has a near-death experience. Because of that, he can see the imaginary friend of this girl who was being kidnapped by a pedophile Santa Claus. And the imaginary friend is called Happy, who is like a unicorn voiced by Patton Oswalt. And together they have to fight the girl that's been kidnapped, and there's some trouble with the cops and some gangs and stuff like that. And it's extremely violent and bloody and a lot of drugs going on. It's insane. It's directed by one of the guys who did Crank.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah, and you notice that when you're watching it. Like, yeah, this seems like the guy who did Crank.
Yeah, he did Crank definitely while making that. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun, Bragg. Is that on Netflix?
It's not on Netflix. It's a sci-fi show, so it might turn on Netflix at some point. And it's also going to be just one season. It's like a mini series, so that's also good.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I'll have to check that out.
You should check that out.
So will I think.
Well, you probably won't, Human Metal. Apparently, your porn site got shut down or something, didn't it?
No,
The-
not again.
The people who are listening to this have no idea what we're talking about. But yeah, on this week I'm going to talk about Netflix. So Netflix really earned the money that I spend to subscribe to it in the last month, because it gave me so much high quality entertainment. It's insane. Um, so just recently we had like Stranger Things 2, and then almost immediately after that we had The Punisher. So The Punisher for me was my favorite Netflix Marvel show so far. It was so fucking excellent. It was violent and gory, but like that show for me was the show that I had the most connection with any of the Marvel shows. Like I absolutely loved the characters, you know, because Frank Castle in that show, obviously the Punisher is a psychopath, right? But they find an excellent way to ground him and make him seem sympathetic, whilst all at the same time completely uncompromising and unforgiving. So I just think they did it absolutely perfectly. And Micro, his partner, I think is probably the best supporting character that the Marvel TV shows or even the Marvel movies have ever put forth. He's just absolutely perfect, and just that just rocked the shit. Like, great bad guy, great story, great characters. Loved every single second of the Punisher. Thought it was amazing. Then that was immediately followed up by Godless, the Western. So basically, instead of a TV show, that was like a movie split into 7 parts or something. One of the reasons I say that is because the timing of the episodes wasn't formatted to usual TV style. So usually, you know, when you watch like an episode of The Punisher or something, it's like 57 minutes or something, or just about around that mark. But the episodes of Godless were completely wild in their timing. Like, one episode would be like 40 minutes, the next episode would be like an hour and a half or something. It'll be like 65 minutes, and then like, you know, an hour and 30 minutes. It's crazy. So instead of approaching it from the TV format where they, you know, they feel like air just to fill that time. Do you know what I mean? Like, the episode count is exactly is what needed of it, and the camera work and the actual scenes are what's needed for the story. So I really appreciated that.
That sounds really good. That a lot of more TV shows could make use of.
Yeah,
Especially a lot of TV
I'm
shows
looking
on
at you,
Netflix.
you Walking Dead.
But especially a lot of TV shows on Netflix, because it feels like,
Yeah.
especially like the Marvel shows, very much they're like
Yeah, it
dragged
feels
out.
like a lot of these shows are still going for the classic TV episode structure, where they have to, okay, we gotta make this a 10 or 12 episode season with that and that length, and their story is only like scripted out for 6 episodes or something, and it's like, oh, we gotta fill this shit up, and yeah, and
But
it
what-
doesn't work.
One of the things I've seen from Godless, because I was going to check out if I was going to watch it, and then I was like, oh, one episode is like an hour and a half, and another episode is like 40 minutes, and like another episode is 30 minutes, like another episode after that is an hour and a half again. Like, they don't really care about that, because it's more like chapters in a book, I guess.
yes, it really works, because Godless for me, I think, is my favorite cinematic Western related thing I think I've ever seen. I think that is the pinnacle for me. It's just absolutely perfect. And because it is so long and its simple is relatively its story is relatively simple as well. So it's not like ultra complicated or anything. It just like follows a couple of characters, and then there's a slow building tension that just starts ramping up and ramping up and ramping up through the story. And it's got many of those great redemption arcs, you know, like these characters need to be, you know, redempted in somehow, and you're just waiting for the moment that these characters are going to do something badass. You know it's coming. It's just a matter of when. So it's absolutely perfect. I love it, and like Brack was saying, I love the way that the time was just set aside to tell the story, and not there was no like dead space or unnecessary scenes in the show. It's just, yeah, it was just fantastic. So it really felt like a movie that was divided into parts rather than a usual TV. And also there's no sequel bait either. It's completely self-contained, a single story, which is excellent. So there you go, they're brilliant. And then that followed up with the German show Dark, which I enjoyed the shit out of. right until it crapped the bed in the last episode, because that show has things to do with time travel, and it's really really well filmed, and it's got a beautiful soundtrack, and it's awesome start to finish, but it just ends like old school style, like a season of Lost would end, when nothing is resolved, nothing, not a single thing is resolved in any way, shape, or form, and it's just like, hey, wait for the second season. And I feel like in this day and age of TV shows, that's just like, well, fuck you then, you know. So that really, really, really annoyed me, and it was so disappointing because it was such a good show right up until that point. And like the way it ended sort of made me lose all taste for battle, rather than thinking, yeah, I can't wait to see the second season. It was just like, well, fuck you then. Just give me blue balls at the last second, son of a bitch. And yeah, that's pretty much it for my Shallows. Apart from watching a bunch of wicked cool 80s films just recently, like Beverly Hills Cops and Top Gun, which I enjoyed very much. But
sounds like I should check out at least the former two shows. I mean, I was going to watch Punisher anyway, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. But God, that sounds really good too.
it is.
But you're not gonna watch Dark, even though it's like a German show.
I'm not that big of a fan of German fiction, so maybe not. I don't know. I think we produce rarely something worthwhile in the TV genre, so I'm kind of skeptical.
I agree with that, but like
Yeah.
that's why one of the few things that should be kind of worthwhile. I was like curious, like
Well,
I would be
maybe.
curious if I were you.
Dark is very much a German thing, because you know it starts and it's full of like activity, and you know starts strong and whatever, but in the end it just kind of peters out to nothing, a bit like the last two world wars. They just can't finish well.
Absolute silence.
Totally adds to the cliffhanger, right?
Yeah, you
All
deserve that.
And with that, we're going to move out of the shallows and into the depths. It's Christmas, it's the new year, so what better time to go through our Game of the Year list. So we are going to go through our Game of the Year list. First we're going to give our honourable mentions, and then we're going to discuss our top 3 games of the year. But before we do that, we're going to pay lip service to the Outlaw Gamer Society's Game Awards of 2017, which was put together by Aaron B. I think he put quite a bit of hard work into that, so thank you, Aaron B, for doing that. So here are the winners.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, my brother's called Aaron, by the way.
Yeah, he's Aaron A, right?
Yeah, so not that we're diminishing your stature there, Aaron B. Perhaps you should promote yourself to Aaron A. I don't know.
Aaron S, maybe.
Aaron Z. I think Aaron Z must be a total loser, like a wino drunk. Anyway, so here we have the OGS Game Awards of 2017. So the best shooter was Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. A game that I personally would like to play one day. The best...
2.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun. The best action-adventure game was Horizon Zero Dawn. Somehow managed to steal that title away from Zelda somehow. I'm not sure how I did that, but yeah, there you go.
I got that for my birthday, so I'll be able to play it hopefully soon. So
Nice.
All right.
The best
looking
indie...
forward to it.
Which one? Horizon Zero Dawn or Zelda?
Horizon Zero Dawn. I finished Zelda.
Oh,
ages ago.
well, that's cool. Okay, so the best indie game was Divinity Original Sin 2. Best RPG was Persona 5. I don't think anybody on this podcast...
That will come up later.
Oh dear, just like Human Metal when he talks about it, I'm sure. The best fighting game was Injustice 2, a game I personally am looking forward to play if it comes on PS Plus. The best platformer was Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah, so I'd like to play that if I ever get a Switch, definitely. The best horror game was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Not gonna lie to you, way too scary. Never gonna play that. I'm gonna shit my cags. Best official soundtrack was Nier Automata. Automata. Yeah, sorry. That's totally outside my wheelhouse, people. That's too Japanese for me. Ironically, I'm the most Japanese person here, but
And love the Yakuza series.
yeah,
That's equally Japanese, I think. Yakuza series.
definitely. So the best main protagonist was Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, that's such a terrible character name, but apparently it was a good character, so there you go. Aloy, yes, in a game full of metal things. Oh, jeez.
She's pronounced Aloy in the game, but
it's Aloy.
It's a pun. But yeah, now.
Best supporting character was Nadine Ross from the Uncharted The Lost Legacy.
I can see that.
Yeah. I haven't played it yet, but I can see
I have. It was fun.
Bragg's not played it, but he loves Uncharted so much that he can just see it.
No, but I know the character from Uncharted 4, obviously.
Best antagonist was the Baker family from Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Yeah, again, pooped my pants, so yeah, that's probably accurate. Most anticipated was Red Dead Redemption 2. This was the only...
Not by me.
Not by Human Metal, idiot. That's because...
Well, I haven't played the first one. How would I have anticipation for the second one then?
Yeah, Human Metal, Jesus Christ, you know, it's our 50th episode. That's 50 episodes of time that you haven't played Red Dead Redemption in. It's crazy. So yeah, this was the only award that I personally actually voted for.
Voted on?
Yeah, voted on.
You changed it. I actually did vote for Red Dead.
You didn't? What did you vote for, just out of interest?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, really?
Ah, there we go.
Wow, cool. Well, that's cool. Nope, still looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2 more than... I win! I'm the winner! And the biggest disaster was Star Wars Battlefront 2. No real argument there. I mean, that's pretty cut and dried. Although it has been one of the most hilarious, fantastic pieces of gaming news. I mean, it's second only, I think, for me to that time where the Xbox One got slapped on the wrist by Sony at the E3 conference. You know, the guy was like, "This is how we lend our games," and Microsoft took a massive dive there. That was probably still number one, but this was like a good number two. So because EA were just like, yeah, loot boxes are fine, yeah, totally fine, yeah, fuck you, and then Disney just basically gave them a slap in the face. It's just like, oh, okay, we'll remove those. I'm sorry. That's amazing. Yeah, so that's OGS's Games of the Year. So congratulations to all those people who got their picks chosen, and commiserations to those who didn't. Brag. So let's move on to our Game of the Years. So who's going to go first? We haven't discussed this. We should have discussed this prior, I'm thinking now. But Human Metal, why don't you go first?
Yeah,
with
your
runner-ups.
Yeah, your runner-ups.
Yeah,
With
with
runner-ups.
honorable mentions.
All of them at once, and then you guys...
Do that. Let's a few sentences each.
Yes,
right?
yes. Again, like Brack says, Human Metal. Let's throw a spotlight down that. Not too
Yes.
long, son. Okay.
Well, I initially had only one game, but now I have three, so fuck that! No, I'm kidding, guys. I mean, not about the number of the games, but I'm going to keep it short, I promise. So the first runner-up...
So only 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. First runner-up is a small game called Blaster Master Zero, which is like a pseudo-sequel reimagining of an old NES or Famicom game. I never played the original NES title, but I played this one
Really?
on the Switch, and it was super fun.
Does he run Border Town?
What? No,
that's
no. This is not a Mad Max thing. This is...
That's Master Blaster, not Blaster Master.
Well,
It's too similar.
It's kind of a Metroidvania thingy with, side-scrolling shooting section, and then you get like a shift of perspective when you hit a certain area, like in Contra or something like that. So the game is split up in these two different sections, and it's fun. It's got a great soundtrack, great retro soundtrack. Really enjoyed it. Not all of the mechanics, but it was a short, sweet ride. So yeah, that's one of my runner-ups. Second one would be Uncharted Lost Legacy, because I just mentioned that. I almost completely forgot about it. Yes, that's also super fun. It's, of course, not on the level of quality, at least not in my opinion, of one of the big mainline games. It's rather short, but it's also fun. Story is not that super great. It's just not a treasure hunt, but, the two main protagonists who were side characters before, Chloe and Nadine, are super entertaining. They got a good repertoire, good chemistry and everything. Yeah, I had a blast playing this, but it doesn't hold a candle to some of the other Uncharted, in my opinion. It was just fun. It looks amazing. That's without question. Naughty Dog did a really good job again, especially if you play it on the PlayStation 4 Pro. It looks really, really good. And the last runner-up would be Super Mario Odyssey. Really enjoyed that one too. It is a bit on the short side. If you expect something on the meatiness of, I don't know, Mario Galaxy, for example, which is still my favorite 3D Mario game. That's not it. It was over pretty fast, but there's a huge post game. If you like collecting stuff, there's a lot to do after the credits roll. A lot more stages to revisit, and new paths open up, new mini stage parts of the stage open up, new mini games and everything. You can collect new outfits and everything. So it's not like there is nothing more to do. It's just that's not what I usually do in games. I rarely go back to games to collect shit. So after the main credits rolled, I was pretty much done and was like, looked at the post game a bit and was like, oh, that's all right. But the game is sweet. It has a lot of nice nostalgia moments in it. There's one specific sequence that's really, really well done, music-wise, presentation-wise, and for those moments alone, it was really worth playing that game. Yeah, everyone who owns a Switch should definitely play that game.
Yeah.
So there you go.
If I ever own a Switch, I'm definitely. In fact, I'll probably pick up Mario Odyssey with the Switch. I think if I'm going to own one.
Good choice.
Brack.
So I have a few more honorable mentions than him, but I actually cut some down. I'm going to keep it short as well. One of the honorable mentions is Watch Dogs 2, because it's the only open world game where you can shoot cops, hack cars, and pet dogs. And I think that's is enough for you to know about it, right?
It's not, but... Oh, you mean all in the same game? Yes.
In the same game, yes. Yeah. In one game. Amazing. I also really love Doom, because let's be honest, shooting demons in the face is real fun, and it's still real fun, even like 20 years later after the original. I'm not sure if it's 20 years. I'm just saying a number. I have no clue how long ago Doom was made. The other one is Titanfall 2, because shooting mechs in the face is also real fun, especially when you are wall running around. And I really enjoyed Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. It's just a really awesome story, and I really love the atmosphere in that game, and I just really like just walking around the world and exploring stuff. I really loved Epsu, because Journey is still great when it's underwater instead of in the desert.
Well, it sounds to me like it would be even more great then, because I love the water and everything.
You might even love it more than Journey. Have you played Journey?
I have played Journey. I really liked it.
It's real good. It's real good. Chuchu has played it, I think, right, Chuchu?
Wait, what? What? You've played Journey, Human Metal? When did this happen?
We talked about this on the show.
Oh, is that whole tuning you out thing again? Okay, fair enough.
And also really liked Little Nightmares, which is like a Tim Burton fever dream. If you made like a side-scrolling platforms type game, this is it. It's really good. It's really like the atmosphere. It looks beautiful. Very very fun. Fury, which is the only game that made me want to break my controller, but still wanted to continue. Unlike other games that wanted to break my controller, and I was like, yeah, fuck this shit, I'm done. This one, I'm actually like, yeah, I'm breaking my controller in half, and I'm picking up a new controller to keep on playing. You know what I mean? And last but not least is Horizon Zero Dawn, which, yes, it didn't make my top 3, but I really, really enjoyed that game. It's a beautiful open world, it looks amazing, plays really well, and the story is very interesting. All right.
Cool.
That's good news for Human Metal. Oh man, my brother literally did break a controller in half. Literally broke a controller in half. When he went into a fit of rage after I kept beating him at Street Fighter. That was quite something to see.
Well,
Thing
at
is,
least he didn't break you in half.
well, no, but actually, my reaction to him breaking my controller in half was to like literally use the other one like a nunchucker and smack him in the head with it. There was a brief scuffle there. I think it ended when someone got hit on the foot with a hairbrush. Anyway, brothers, eh? So I guess
Sounds
yes.
like the usual
You
sibling
should have
stuff.
you should have taken it to the streets to fight there. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
My brother and I weren't allowed out past 6 p.m. So yeah, here come my honourable mentions. The first one is a relatively recent game, Format 8, which is a Metroidvania style game where you float around in a little ship. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, it's nice. It's available now on this month on PS Plus. So make sure you download that. It's fun. It is hardcore difficult though. I won't lie to you. That is a difficult game for me. So
Is it Guacamelee difficult?
it kind of is, Brack. So you'll probably breeze through it with no problems. You'll be like, this is the
That
easiest
game
fucking
is
game
not
I've
hard
ever
at
played.
all.
Guacamelee is impossible. I maintain to my dying breath, it's literally impossible. Anybody who says they've completed Guacamelee is a fucking liar. I won't have it. It didn't happen.
There are videos out there to prove you wrong. So
They're fake, you met. You can do anything with computers these days. It's like it's like aimbots just with Metroidvania. Anyway, the next on my list is Project Cars. So Project Cars is pretty great. It's a very simulatory style game in the vein of Gran Turismo, but unlike Gran Turismo, it doesn't have any of the car collecting or RPG style mechanics, where you upgrade things and get better. Ironically, that's kind of what makes Gran Turismo a better game in the end. However, not every game can be Gran Turismo, right? Not every game needs to take like 200 hours to complete or whatever. I just wanted something simulatory that you can get into very quickly and just race. That you don't have to play for like 2 hours to do anything in it. So Project Cars fit the bill there. Nice graphics, nice racing. Yeah, good game. Next up is Elite Dangerous, the extremely daunting space simulator. I had a ton of fun with that. It's so much better than No Man's Sky, and has a very calm atmosphere, just wandering through the stars. It's incredibly relaxing and sort of almost cathartic in its kind of emptiness. Very little happens in that game when you're actually flying. Ironically, when it does happens, you get really frustrated and you die very quickly. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I had a lot of decent like multiplayer sessions with my brother that basically we were going to play for a couple of hours, and yet somehow ended up playing for like 8, and led to a whole bunch of sleep deprivation for me. However, I'm sort of done with that game. I played it for like 30 hours or something, but I've had enough of Elite Dangerous, because I feel if I go any further into that game, I'd have to enter the land of like proper time sink, where weeks and months disappear into it, and I can't really go for that far. But yeah, for what I had, the time I had with it, it was great. Next up on my list is Bound. Was it this month or last month on PS Plus? I've forgotten. But anyway, it's like a threequel to Journey. So you got Journey, you got Abzu, and now you got Bound. So it's one of those games I sat down and I played it all in one sitting. It's about 3 hours long, maximum, I think. I would say it's third place amongst those games. First place is Journey, second place is Abzu, third place is Bound. There were a couple of camera issues. I was often fighting the camera and falling off like high ledges and stuff. And also has that weird video game thing of you're not quite sure what you can and can't jump on, which is quite frustrating. You're like, can I jump on that? And then you try and like, fall to your death. It's like, fuck. So it had some mechanical issues, but it was still a really great game. Had some nice storytelling and a cathartic ending that made me cry. A little bit heavy-handed, more heavy-handed than Journey and Abzu in its storytelling. I mean, it was probably like, please, cry now, cry, please go. You want to, like this. It was really kind of tugging you. But
the
beautiful
music playing into that too, probably.
Beautiful graphic design, beautiful art direction in the game. fantastic. It can be played in VR, but I'm never going to do that because that's basically a vomit factory if you play that in VR, because it's like a roller coaster where the floor is like miles down, and you can go upside down and all kinds of things in that game. So I'm not anxious to try that.
I've played a little bit in VR, like a little bit. I wanted to play it more, but I didn't have the time yet. But it didn't seem that much like a vomit comment, in my opinion.
You probably haven't played the. It has those journey things, like where you.
You know they're making Wipeout in VR, right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, but Brack, Brack, listen to this. Do you know those ribbons that you can ride on in Journey, right? They're and you go like quite fast. Imagine that, but twisting upside down and all around like a roller coaster rail, while the floor is like miles below you.
Awesome.
It is awesome, but it's also kind of. I can imagine being real sick. I'm the person who rides a roller coaster and immediately vomits after they've done it. Like, I literally was almost sick on the person next to me riding Star Tours in Disneyland. But hey, that's me. Still a great game. I really enjoyed it. And last on my list is Fallout 4, a game which I'm currently playing, in the process of playing. I love Bethesda games. That's not from this year, obviously. And Fallout 4 is an excellent Bethesda game. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I think it goes to show the quality of the games actually on my Game of the Year list, that Fallout 4 has to be here in my honorable mentions list. So there you go. Not much else to say about that. Alright, so let's get to the big time. Let's get to the best 3 games that we have played this year. Before we go, I should say for any new listeners, there are new listeners. There are no new listeners. Let's be honest there. But still, this is our personal Game of the Year list. So our games don't have to be released from this year. They can be released any year. So I think Human Metal's Game of the Year like 2 years ago was maybe Chrono Trigger. So that just goes to show you how old we can go. All right, so let's get it on. Human Metal. What is your number 3?
After your caveat throwing in there, all the games that are on my list for a change are all from this year. So there you go.
Well, that's a switch.
Following in Bragg's footsteps.
Bill Paxton, you will be missed.
Anyway, number 3 on my list is a DLC to one of my Game of the Years from the previous years. And that is Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment. And what's happening? I should keep going?
Oh, sorry, Human Metal. I totally forgot about that. That would totally be on my list, but yeah. Continue on. That was excellent.
That was weird for the audience because they couldn't see it, but Chuchi was making hectic hand gestures. It was like really freaking out, and I thought he was choking on whatever he's eating right now.
Jazz hands, bitches, and it's man. These chips are like Hawaiian burger chips, and like with avocado in them, and they're just amazing. I can't stop eating them.
Awesome.
It is.
Send me some. Anyway. Okay. Anyway, Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment, DLC to Shovel Knight, of course. And this time you play Spectre Knight, who plays quite a lot differently than Shovel Knight. He has a giant scythe, and with that scythe he can basically dash and cling to, rings on the wall, like hooks, and or what enemies too. And that like changes the gameplay up completely. You don't bounce on enemies anymore like Scrooge McDuck style. You basically dash to them, and depending on if you are below the enemy or above the enemy, Spectre Knight goes like a downward angle or upward angle. So you have to take that into calculation when moving over giant chasms. Otherwise, you will die quickly. And they have Jagdlack Games, the developers for Shovel Knight, have heavily remixed the Shovel Knight stages. Like some of these are almost unrecognizable except for the graphic tiles and everything, background art and stuff. But even that has been changed. So this almost feels like a completely new game in many aspects, even though you're familiar with the bosses and everything. But the music is remixed and everything. Like I said, a lot of the stages look really different. Some of the final bosses are completely different. It's really fun. It's like, and for free if you like own fucking Shovel Knight. Like, this is ridiculous. Like getting like almost a completely new sequel to that fucking first game is also amazing for free, which is again really great. So man, fantastic. I really enjoyed Spectre of Torment. It has a nice little story too that I really enjoyed. Really like hits cool emotional beats and everything. So yeah, good stuff. Really good retro stuff in jump and run department. I really enjoyed it. I think if you love Shovel Knight, you will probably like Spectre of Torment 2, even if the controls need a bit getting used to in the beginning. But then it gets really fun. And I mean, at some point you get to fucking surf on a scythe. So what else do I need to say? It's a lot of fun. That game is just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I played it too. It's good.
Yes.
I don't disagree with anything you said. It's a great game.
Yep, it is.
Indeed.
I also played it, finished it, loved it. Great, fantastic.
There you go.
All right, Brack.
Damn, we all agree. What's
We
going
do.
on?
What's-
This is weird.
That will change.
Mass hysteria. Dogs and cats living together.
My number 3 is Injustice 2. And it's... Normally, I'm not a big fan of fighting games. Like, in general, I don't really like fighting games because I suck at them. But I like the Injustice games because they're very accessible. And you can play with all the freaking DC characters. Like, and I'm a big DC junkie, so I love all those DC characters there. And they have, like, some obscure characters, like Swamp Thing is there, which is also, like, just amazing. And but that's not the biggest attraction of this game. The biggest attraction of the game is that it has the best story mode in any fighting game ever, easily, and it has like one of the best stories in gaming in general this year.
I was about to say that is not a very high bar.
It's not
like
a very
the
high
best-
bar,
but still, it's a really, really good story mode. Like,
the story mode is amazing in this game. Like, this is one of my favorite game modes of this year, was when I spent like an entire day, like an entire Sunday, just playing Injustice 2 story mode from beginning to end in one sitting. It was just like had an insane amount of fun. The story is just like very intriguing. They know how to give you just the right amount of time with each character, that you get used to them, and by the end fight, they crank up the difficulty a little bit more. So by the end fight, you actually feel like you learned how to play that character a little bit, and you're really actually getting decent with it, which is something that doesn't happen with most fighting games, because I'm too lazy to play tutorial modes in fighting games. I'm just gonna say it. So I just pick a character, just button mash. But this game gradually teaches you a little bit how to play a character through the story mode as well, and it just works really well. And like I said, the story, they bring back all the voice actors from the animated shows. They got like the guys from like Batman the Animated Series and Justice League Unlimited. All those actors are back. The story is so good that it actually got me to read the Injustice comic series, which is also good because it's like the Game of Thrones of the DC universe, where like every character can just die at a moment's notice, except the characters in the game, but every other character are just like free reign. And just like Robin dies in like the 5th issue, for example. And it's like just an amazing story. The comic is literally like has been running for like 10 volumes, like 40 or 50 issues, because the comic series is so good as well. But not as good as the game story, which is just, like I said, amazing. So go play it. You're going to have an amazing time with it.
Yeah, I haven't played it, but I watched someone play through story mode because I was just interested in the story. I'm not that interested in... I like fighting games, and I don't like the gameplay of the Injustice series or, NetherRealm games in general. But I wanted to see the story because I remember the story of of Mortal Kombat 9 being really good, and the first Injustice was really fun too. And so I was like, okay, I at least want to see where the story is going, and that was really, really fun. Like you said, it's just a well-handled story. Every character gets a spotlight and an interesting confrontation. Everything you got neat special moves and stuff like that. And just from a cinematic standpoint, they really know how to make the important characters look really awesome, and the not so important characters too. So there you go.
And now they have also added Hellboy and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, what more do you want?
Yeah, exactly. that might actually get me to pick up the game, to be able to play the turtles in a fighting game again. So, yeah.
I personally really loved the first Injustice. I also thought the story mode in the first Injustice was awesome. So I am looking forward to playing Injustice 2. Probably for me, I might wait until it comes on PlayStation Plus, or wait until I can find a very cheap copy of it. But yeah, it's definitely a game I'm looking forward to playing at some point. All right, so I guess that brings me on to my third place, which is also my first place. So it's a bit of a weird one.
What?
This, yeah. So the thing is,
Down is up is down, left is right.
mass hysteria, dogs and cats
Yes.
living together. We already did that. So
Several times.
that's what she said. So basically, I have this weird confliction. Like, we have this Radiophonic Sea Creatures rule where, you know, your top game can be from any year, right? But so far, throughout the history of the Radiophonic Sea Creatures, I've always managed to choose a game from the current year. But this year, I'm in this weird situation where, for the first time, actually, if I'm honest with myself, the best game I played this year wasn't from this year. But I also played really great deserving games that deserve a Game of the Year sort of award from me. So this is how I'm going to play it. Like, I'm going to put my top game at my number one spot from this year. However, I just want it known that actually this was the most fun I had with a game this year, because it's not
All
from
right.
this year. So there you go. I think that satisfies all my quotas, and I don't have to feel guilty going forward. And plus, I can.
And
look
I'm
back-
here on the other end, just not giving a fuck and giving my best of the year or to Chrono Trigger 2 years ago. So
Well, that's it, human metal. I mean, the Germans have no integrity. Just look at World War One and World War Two. But and Dark.
there you
As
go.
well. That Netflix fucking TV show. God damn it. Oh, so give me an ending. I need an ending. Okay. But yeah, my number 3 and also my number 1 is Assassin's Creed Syndicate, a game I played all the way back in January, but I fucking loved that game, man. Like, that was one of the games that a rare example of a game that I would go to work and I would be thinking about it at work, and I'd be like jonesing to get back to play it. Like, I really, really fucking loved Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It was my favorite Assassin's Creed game by a considerable distance, and I'm quite a big Assassin's Creed fan as well. Or at least I was before 3. But let's not get into that.
I think it's that many people feel like that.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed Syndicate was brilliant. The city, London, was an amazing gaming creation. It was just a beautiful city and had all the best things about Assassin's Creed, but rarely any of the stuff that you really hated from the previous Assassin's Creeds as well. I think the combat mechanics were piss easy, but, you know, also just fun to you know, fight people in that game. And the stealth mechanics were laughably simple, but yet somehow really great at the same time.
It was the first time Assassin's Creed had functional stealth mechanics, in my
Yeah.
opinion, which is kind of like weird for like an Assassin game, but yeah, it's true. Syndicate is the first game where the stealth actually works. It's easy, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is easy. It's just basically, you know, that, and it has that kind of relaxing thing. Like I don't really like difficult games. I mean, I'm not the most skillful of players. Let's be honest there. So I like games where I can relax and take them at my own pace and think a little bit, you know, and just kind of, and where the mechanics of it aren't particularly challenging to me. I mean, I can relax after a hard day of work and just kind of like switch off. And Assassin's Creed Syndicate was absolutely perfect for that. So, you know, like going into like an assassin style situation, I'd, you know, get up on the rooftops and I'd survey and I'd like locate all the enemies, and I'd gradually go around, like wait for my opportunity, stealthily kill them without being seen, like that. And it's easy enough and forgiving enough that it's not stressful to do that. It's just fun to do it. Fun to plan out your mission, and if you can get your mission to go exactly how you planned, it's gangbusters. It's great. It's beautiful. So for me, that was the ultimate, like, stressful day at work, come back, switch on the PlayStation, bang, all your stress is gone, and let's have some fun playing like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and it was relaxing for me. It was a relaxing experience, and I loved it. Had a decent storytelling, had characters that I quite liked. It was funny and light and not serious, not bogged down in that kind of Assassin's Creed thing of like, this is ultra serious, like the world is at stake here, like don't you dare crack a smile, you sons of bitches. Like it was much more lightweight than that, and I just enjoyed every single second of it. Excellent game.
See, I agree. I think it's also one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games. And I think if it wasn't for the people being so tired of Assassin's Creed games, everybody would have loved it. But it came after just like such a shithole of Creed games, like Unity and 3 and like some other shit that nobody cared about. That people just stopped caring about Assassin's Creed. But Syndicate is just really fun. It's like the most fun of the Creed games out there.
I agree. The thing for me though, like I left Assassin's Creed alone after 3, and I didn't pick up any of the. No, wait, that's not true. Actually, I picked up Black
You played
Flag,
4 as well.
Yeah, but I was
like
too
me.
tired. I was too fatigued to continue with that game, so I gave up on it pretty quickly. But yeah, for me, Assassin's Creed Syndicate was the game that made me remember why I loved Assassin's Creed in the first place. It was excellent. All right, Human Metal. What's number 2 on your list?
Number 2 on my list was a pretty much safe bet for Game of the Year anyway, or for my list, but not on which place. But for anyone who knows, I got a Switch. Of course, I had to get Zelda Breath of the Wild. And yeah, that's my number 2. It's Zelda going open world and doing that really well in most aspects. I love the open world in Zelda. I think the atmosphere is fantastic. I think there's so much fun to do, so much fun to have with the mechanics. Like if you look at best compilation video of people abusing the mechanics in Breath of the Wild and making fun shit with it, traveling over the whole map by abusing the gravity stuff and everything and and momentum shit. It's really fun. Like it's the most intriguing and varied tool set you had in a Zelda game up to this point, and it's really great stuff. There's a lot of different things to discover in the world, and a lot of Easter eggs and a lot of fun little activities to do. It's just fun traveling through that world and doing shit in it as it should be in an open world game. I really enjoyed it. I really like the graphics. I really enjoyed the mythology they built up in that game, and some of the secrets therein. And I really like the minimalist piano soundtrack and everything. I think all of this game is good. I think except for maybe the voice acting. Presentation wise, but now you can choose Japanese voice acting, so I might go back to that game. And I mean, I won't check out the DLC anyway. I haven't done that yet, but yeah, it's fun. The only problem I had with that game, and that's why it's not number 1, or one reason why it's not number 1. I really enjoy elaborate, well-structured, varied dungeons in Zelda games. I think that's one of the great aspects of Zelda games. That's why Ocarina of Time is still one of my favorites, because it's got some of the best dungeons in the series. And sadly, that's the only thing where Breath of the Wild is lacking, because the dungeons are kind of shit. It got pretty much the same variation on the same boss for every dungeon, and the dungeons are very small. And there's some fun riddles in there, don't get me wrong, but it's just like, just design-wise and everything, it's not that as interesting as a lot of the other stuff we've seen in previous Zelda games, like in Twilight Princess, like in Ocarina of Time, even Majora's Mask to an extent, although those dungeons are also a bit of a mixed bag, or Wind Waker. So yeah, I think if we get a sequel to Breath of the Wild where it's the same kind of open world structure, but with dungeons that are styled after the ones in Ocarina of Time or something like that, that will be the perfect Zelda game. Like that will be like number 1 for all time for me, because I like the open world in that game so much. It's just that problem with that the dungeons don't hold a candle to a lot of the other ones in the series. But aside from that, it's a must-have for the Switch, in my opinion. You really need to play this game if you own a Nintendo Switch. But yeah, that's my number 2, and I think it's well deserved of that spot.
That's cool.
There you go.
My daughter has it for the Wii U, and I see her playing it occasionally. I picked up the had like I think like once to help her with a puzzle that she couldn't quite figure out.
Mhm.
But yeah, it looks fun. To be honest, I'm not sure I'm ever going to get time to play it, but like it's a game that I wish in an alternative universe where I did have time to play everything that I would play it. But I
I know
agree
that
with
feeling.
you. I'm sad to hear that the dungeons aren't as good as the dungeons in the previous Zelda games, because that was what I wanted from Breath of the Wild. I mean, it was like open world with Zelda style dungeons. That's amazing, but apparently they couldn't quite fulfill that promise. So like you say, hopefully going forward, if they can perfect that balance, the moment they perfect that balance, intriguing open world experience with Zelda, like proper Zelda style dungeons with great bosses and stuff, that's the moment I will properly like be like, man, I have to play that game.
And I think you would still enjoy just traveling through that open world, but you're right. It's like it's already a great game, but if those dungeons were better, it would be perfect. So there you go.
Yeah.
Still room for improvement.
All
Yep.
right.
All right.
Brack.
It's my turn again. Holy shit.
Mhm.
My number 2 is a game that did come out this year. My number 2 is Firewatch. And I'm one of the people who likes walking simulators. I know it's a term that's actually mean as a negative for people, most people.
Oh,
Walk simulators.
I don't mind him.
No, but walking simulators, the name is from people that use the name negatively because it's like, oh, this is not the real game; it's just a walking simulator, which I disagree with. I think it's the walking those type of games are a good way to tell a story. It's a good way to like show you atmosphere. It's a good way to just like for types of games that I really enjoy, which are the very story-driven, relaxed type of games. And I think Firewatch does it the best of all of them. It has a beautiful art style. It has a very interesting story. The voice acting is amazing. The areas that you get to explore all look very different and unique, and they look beautiful. You actually want to see all the details because, like, oh, I really would like to go to this location myself. It has like the digital tourism type of thing going for it as well. So overall, I just had like an amazing experience playing this.
Sounds great. They just Campo Santo, the developers just announced a new game, right?
Yeah, where you're in like Egypt.
Valley of the Gods. That's it, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds good. The story, like what people were saying about the story of Firewatch, always sounded interesting to me, but haven't gotten to check that yet. I mean, that's a prospect for a future PlayStation Plus game, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's what I was
it's bound to
thinking.
happen.
Like I'd like to play Firewatch. In fact, I think I actually thought about picking it up when it was new, but then, like you, Human Metal, I was like, that is definite PlayStation Plus fodder. Like that is
Yes.
definitely going to come on PlayStation Plus at some point. So
And you say that, and like 4 years later, it's like it's not there, and you're like, ah, fuck.
I managed to sit out on Life is Strange until it hit PlayStation Plus, and I still haven't played it. So there you go. The chances of there being enough time until Firewatch is in there and I'll be able to play it are pretty high.
oh man,
That's true.
I'm definitely gonna play Firewatch if it comes on PlayStation Plus. I quite enjoy walking simulators too. If I remember, Gone Home was on my honorable mentions list last year. It was a pretty good walking simulator. So if Firewatch can up the ante on that, like I'm down for that. But like I say, for me, that I really think that will probably come on PlayStation Plus sometime during 2018. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So I will play it then. Alright, I guess that brings me on to number 2. Number 2 on my list. Oh, どうしよう。どっちかな? Oh man, it's a real tough one. Oh,
Are you taking a shit right now?
Yeah, it looooks like you're trying to take a shit.
Oh,
I think you
man.
should eat more prunes because it looks like it hurts.
Well, the prunes can never get through the amount of potato chips I eat. I literally, my bottom of my bowels are clogged with this like massive soggy like stodge of potato chips. Like, literally, when I shit, it comes out like flecks of potato chips. It's like a machine gun. It causes hell for the plumbers. Anyway,
Poor Mario.
yeah, poor Mario. Okay, so my second place, because like I've been really fighting myself. They both deserve to be number one, but I have to put them in an order. So in order they shall be. My number two is, I'm gonna regret this as soon as I say it, Yakuza 0. So I love the Yakuza games.
Yeah, that game is worthless now. It's not even number one. Not even number one. Fuck that game. Just throw it in the garbage. It's completely worthless.
So
I'm not
Yakuza,
even gonna play my copy anymore. I own the game. I'm not even gonna play it anymore because it's not number one on your
you
list.
own the game? Oh, amazing, Brack. That's cool. That's cool as fuck. Yakuza 0 is brilliant. Yakuza 0 is excellent. I love Yakuza 0. So, I think it's the best Yakuza game made so far, which is saying a lot because I, unlike Brack, actually really loved Yakuza 5, and fuck you, Brack, for not putting it on your Game of the Year list last year. That still stings. That still burns. Burns like a vindaloo in the middle of winter. You fuck. Anyway, but still, some grudges never die, Brack. Yeah, Yakuza 0 is the best Yakuza game so far. I love the way that, at the beginning at least, its storyline is very urgent, very violent, very dark. A big departure from, the previous thing of like saving cats in trees or whatever the fuck the Yakuza people are doing. I mean, there are people getting shot and murdered and fingers cut off and genuine like anger and betrayal and like a more sort of visceral, violent feeling in the beginning of Yakuza 0, and then it settles down and it's back to the usual type of saving cats from trees and stuff. But yeah, I love it. Graphically, it's beautiful. It's set in the 80s, so it's got a beautiful graphic style that kind of goes back to the 80s, but it's very inconsistent in its period detailing. It's almost like it's back to the 80s, and I'm just gonna call this guy on my cell phone. It's not that bad, but it's it's not far off. Like some of the shops, like obviously weren't there in the 80s, but they're there. In Yakuza 0, like Don Quixote, when you go to Don Quixote in the 80s in Yakuza, it's like a proper modern Don Quixote, and you're like, there's no fucking way that this was there in the 80s. Like, no way. And like that. And the products as well. The products that they sell in the shops, they're all modern products from now. So, someone time traveled and took those products back, obviously. So, anyway. But apart from that, it's got a good story. I think it's got the best story, in my opinion, of the Yakuza games thus far. Yeah, it's just a lot of stupid fun. It's daft. It's daft as a hairbrush for a bald man. So basically, let me give you a little taste of how great and crazy Yakuza is. There's this mission where you meet Steven Spielberg and Michael Jackson. I'm not joking. Steven Spielberg and Michael Jackson are there somehow in Japan. And Steven Spielberg is directing Michael Jackson's pop video. And in the pop video, it's basically Thriller. So Michael Jackson's wearing his iconic like black and red, jacket and stuff, and there's zombies and stuff in the video. But Steven Spielberg's complaining that the stunt guys can't really like do the zombie action sequences properly. So he asks you as the character, like, can you do it for me? Because you look like you're a tough guy. So you're like, yes, I can do it. And then basically Michael Jackson moonwalks his way down the center of like the main shopping street while shouting like hee hee or like that, or doing that type of thing while you fight zombie stuntmen and try to protect him. And when I say like fight them, I mean you beat the shit out of them. Like you pull no punches. You're like breaking bicycles over the head and like stamping their faces into the curb and stuff. And these poor bastards are stuntmen. So it's like that's just tells you everything you need to know about Yakuza. It's crazy. It's stupid. It's just so much fun. And yeah, I just love it. It's great. So there you go.
Since this is a flashback or a prequel, would you suggest people play the other Yakuza games first, or is this a good place to start?
Human Metal, this is great. Yeah, I know you and your phobia about starting. This is where it all starts. This is the introductory of those characters. So you're totally good to just jump.
So
straight
I'm
into
not
Yakuza
gonna miss
0.
out on some in joke or a lot
Nope.
of in jokes that are hints
Nothing.
at things that happens later in the series.
No. This is like they play it straight. This is the origin story of those characters. So they're kind of
Okay.
introduced, and they're both not badass yet. It shows you how they got to be badass in the first place. So it's it's a great place for you to start, and I highly recommend you play. And you can totally avoid your phobia of like playing stuff that you don't know.
What? That's not my phobia.
No, okay,
It's
playing stuff where you don't understand the story that came before.
Okay.
Ah,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, maybe. And I mean, Kiwami's out too, right? The remake of the first one. So.
yeah, that's right. But I think
And
Yakuza-
6 is coming out next year. They're really churning out those games at the moment. Since they found like an American audience for that shit, like.
Amen.
They're really.
I'm gonna play them all at some point, but I'm still going with Yakuza 0 at the moment. So yeah, anyway, but to answer your question, definitely go for Yakuza 0 over the other games because
Okay.
that's an excellent game with sort of as modern a sensibility as the Yakuza franchise has thus far, and will also provide a good story introduction to those characters. Like, because they're all fresh faced and introduced to you in like kind of like earnest fashion. So yeah, nice. Brack, you got Yakuza 0. You gonna play that shit?
Yeah, sure. I will play it. I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm also the big fan of Yakuza 5.
Fuck you.
But that had a lot to do with the pacing and stuff like that, the story pacing, which is kind of garbage. And I heard this one is a lot better and a lot improved on that. And it's a jump because the last Yakuza game I played was on the PS3. This one is PS4, so like that.
Oh man.
It's going to be a big improvement on that factor as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's a really great thing. The graphics sometimes are really beautiful in that game, especially at night time with all the neon lights and stuff and reflecting off the water and shit. Like, it looks great sometimes. It's
Yeah,
really...
and I love the crazy 80s setting, and I'm not sure if it's only the main hub or there's like more cities in there.
There are two.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to exploring those in like the 80s setting because that looks just amazing. I think the storytelling of Yakuza and the outfits they wear fit a lot better with that time period than they do with the contemporary time period that they use in like the other games.
Yeah.
Because even in the modern games, they dress ridiculous. You know, they dress like 80s style clothing in a way.
Well, if you've ever been to Kabukicho in Tokyo, Brack, and actually seen a Yakuza, I'm not lying to you, they literally dress like that.
Okay, if you say so.
They do. They stand out like a sore thumb. You walk in around Tokyo and you see this guy walking in and this guy is shooting. Just like, yep, he's Yakuza. Like, it's hilarious. They don't hide it. All right, so with that, we're going to come on to our actual game of the year. So what is number one? Human Metal, number one game of the year.
My number one game of the year is probably is a game that probably none of you will ever play, but I played way too much of it. I have sunken over 200 hours in that fucker.
Leisure Suit Larry.
No, it is close though.
Really?
You're at least dating girls in this game too. So it's
a real video game experience for Human Metal, something he can't do in real life.
Exactly. So it's Persona 5.
Persona 5.
Appropriate though. Anyway, Persona 5.
Human Metal, you are totally wrong about that. I was this close to picking this up for Christmas. I was this close to getting you Persona 5.
I'm glad to hear that. I hope you will do it eventually because, in my opinion, it's really worth it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have played that game so much because after I finished it up and I was like, okay, what game am I going to play next? And I thought about it and I was like, I don't think I'm done with that game yet. So I played New Game Plus on hard and all the way through again.
Holy
and
shit.
Didn't regret a single hour of it.
Is that game like 50,000 hours long?
Kind of. No. Well, one run was like 100 hours for me, and the second one another 100 or something.
That's long.
Yeah.
Long. I put it.
But I wasted a lot of time. Like you can get through that game much faster. But I dilly dallied, so to speak. Anyway, so what is Persona 5 about? I didn't know before, and because I hadn't played any Persona game, But I heard this one was supposed to be really good, so I was like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna pick it up. Setting looks interesting, and style-wise, this game is fantastic. Just it is like art design and everything I fucking loved in that game. So story-wise, I don't even know how to explain this because this is really out there. Is that you basically, guys, this high school student who got convicted of a crime and thus gets sent off by his parents to go to a different school until things cool off and everything. So he arrives in Tokyo and it's like, okay, let's try out this new school. And then basically what happens is he stumbles with a new classmate of his into an alternate dimension that where his school is portrayed like a castle, and he finds out the king of that castle is the actual sports teacher who is a giant asshole and abuses girls in his class and everything. Yeah. And what they decide to do to like change that fucker's mind or get him to confess his crime is steal his like personal treasure in this fantasy world, which basically makes him to want to become a better person and everything. So this is basically a game where you pull off heists.
It's like Inception. It is like Kevin Spacey, the simulator.
Yeah, kind of. No, at least that first mission. Well, you pull off heists to steal the most precious belonging of a person or a person's psyche, and once you do that, those people, you basically change their perception of reality and everything. And this game is crazy. The dungeons are crazy. The character stories are crazy. The bosses are insane. Like this game, like touches on so many different interesting topics, like psychology, bullying. You got different social aspects, like political stuff. A lot of that too, like contemporary politics, touching on those too. So. A lot of interesting stuff to see. You got is a lot of interesting characters in there that are very fun and entertaining, and it's just it's a blast. It's a really good JRPG, and it was a different experience for me because I'm usually if I play an RPG, it's more fantasy based or science fiction or something like that, and this was like very, even though it's got a real fantastical aspect to it with that different fantasy dimension, perceived reality, whatever. You're set in contemporary Japan, like today's Japan. So it, was something atmosphere-wise. It was completely different from what I usually play in RPGs. But I really enjoyed it. I think it's fantastic. I don't know. Some people like Persona 4 more apparently, but I really enjoyed this one.
Fuck those people. They're wrong, and I hate them.
I would like to check back with Persona 4 and check that out too now because I enjoyed 5 so goddamn much. But I heard like the dungeons in that are procedurally generated, and that's already like a turn off for me. That is not the case in Persona 5. Each dungeon is like completely crafted by the programmers and everything. No random stuff in there. Played so many hours of that game, and like I said, New Game Plus again to get all the endings for all the characters and everything. And yeah, I like the mechanics in the fights. I like the system. The soundtrack is fantastic. It's my favorite gaming soundtrack of the year. It's just I've listened to it so many times. It's really, really good. And just an all-around fantastic JRPGs. If you like that genre, and I know it's a niche genre, but if you do, you owe it to yourself to check out Persona 5. It's fantastic.
Well, isn't this some fucking bullshit right here? Human Metal jumps into a game, the 5th game in the series, without playing any of the others previously, and has a fucking good time. Well, isn't that a switch, Human Metal?
No story relation between the games. I checked that beforehand. No direct story relation. Otherwise, I would have played that game. I would have not played that game. So there you go.
You would have started
Your argument is invalid.
But one of the side characters from Persona 1 makes an appearance in Persona 5. Then you won't know what that side character is all about.
Yeah, exactly. No, that only happens in the fighting games. In Persona 4 Ultimate Arena or shit like that. So there you go.
Have you played Persona 5 Ultimate Arena?
Persona 4 Ultimate, I played it, but I don't give a shit about the story.
Oh. You hypocritical butter.
Bullshit.
All right.
Yeah, I do want to play that game though, Human Metal. That sounds awesome.
It's long though, so be
Yeah.
prepared for that.
It is.
And it's a lot of text. Holy shit, that was a lot of reading I did in that game. Sometimes like,
Doesn't matter.
wow. It's yeah.
Lots
Just
of reading.
saying. Be prepared for that. Lots of reading in that game.
I don't
Alright.
mind that,
It's-
but how's just I'm a complete noob when it comes to Persona. Like, how's the
Me too.
combat system? How does it work? Is it like action based or turn based
Well,
or what?
no, it's turn based, but it's got a few different or a few neat spins on it. That it's not like your typical Final Fantasy active time battle thing. You can influence the battle in certain ways, like, with your special ability, of course, you got your magic and stuff like that. That's the usual stuff. But what you want to do is you want to get these personas on your side to make yourself stronger, because they give you the magic and everything. And you can, combine them and stuff like that. And to do that, you have to bring them to basically a dizzy state and then talk to them and convince them to join your side. And you have to know how these, how the personas like kind of think. If they act a certain way, you have to, okay, they would maybe like this response more. And if you do that, they join your side and everything. And you also can influence that too to make that happen more easily. But it's really, it's a really, really interesting mechanic, and a lot of more stuff is added to that too. Just
Okay.
the way
Did you just say that you may have to put them to a dizzy state?
yeah.
That's what Bill Gaspy did too, I think.
Is that like? Oh, I
No,
see.
you're
So you basically have to slip them some rehypno.
No, you shoot them with guns.
That'll
There
do
you
it.
go.
I think that's what Bill Gaspy also did.
He
at
wants
some
to
point.
do that, yes. Tranquilizer guns. No, but
Yes, because that's what happens, kids. When you get shot by a gun, you go into a dizzy state.
Wasn't there a controversy about one of the previous Persona games where the character had to shoot themselves with a gun?
yeah,
So
that
the
was Persona
come
3.
out?
Yeah, they
Oh,
shoot themselves in the head to unleash their persona. It's not as crazy in this. In this case, they tear off masks like from
Yeah,
their
they just
face.
shoot
But
other people
also
this
great
time.
moments.
Wow.
Looks really.
That's awesome. But my question, well, I have one last question, because I am genuinely, like, the reason I'm asking these questions, I am genuinely considering buying this game. Is it really difficult?
I didn't. Some parts are, but I feel like the game does a rather good job of easing you into it. Like the first dungeon is really easy in my opinion, and some of the very late ones are maybe a bit harder. And you should know, you should save often. Like there are save rooms in the dungeons, and you can save certain time a lot of times, like always. But you have a limited number of time to complete the dungeon, like
Oh,
limited
no.
amount of time.
It's
It's not that
a
difficult.
time limit.
There is a time limit, but it's not in the dungeon itself. But overall, to complete the mission, you have like 28 days usually, or 20 days to complete. But you can complete the dungeon in one day too. Like it's if you know what you're doing.
Those
It's
are real
not-
time days, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, real time.
No,
Oh,
no, not really. It's
Tease me, Brack.
like the game, like I said, the game does a good job of easing you into it, and once you get the hang of it, it's super fun.
That's what she said.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Yeah, very cool. I will certainly keep that on my consideration list. How about you, Brack? What's your game of the year? Let's give it the duty it deserves. What's your game of the year?
Yeah, don't give Human Metal what the thing it deserves. But I also went into a game without playing the previous one,
Wait,
because
hang
I
on a
went
minute.
playing
Did we? What was Human Metal's game of the year?
Persona 5.
Oh yeah,
We just
sorry.
talked about
I just
We just talked about it.
I tuned him out. Sorry, Brack. Go on then.
But yeah, unlike
you.
Human Metal, I went to playing Wolfenstein 2, the New Colossus, without participating in World War II itself. So I'm also missing up the backstory, just like with Persona 5.
It was a lot of fun,
But
Brack.
did-
You really
but
fucked
did you-
up there. The
But did you
Holocaust
play
was
the
a
New
barrel
Order,
of
though?
laughs.
I played the New Order, obviously.
Okay.
But that's already an epilogue to the actual real events, But
I missed it.
Wolfenstein 2.
So many
I was
great stuff. Dunkirk, the Holocaust, the fucking the Nuremberg trials. It's so fun, Brack. You should totally time travel back to World War II and enjoy all that good shit. The Normandy landings at the beach, amazing stuff. Uh, you can probably meet
Mhm.
grandfather. He's probably on pieces on one of those beaches.
I've already met my grandfather. Why are you acting like I don't know what my grandfather is? Fuck. I could maybe meet your grandfather. I don't know.
Also, Breck's grandfather is probably too young to have, served in World War II.
That's true.
That's right. Yeah, his grandfather's probably about 20 years old.
My grandfather, when he was a kid, he stole beer from the Nazis. He told me, but so, but like back to the game. We're just gonna go back to the game. Wolfenstein 2 is the sequel to the New Order. Also a game I really enjoyed, and this picks up just right at the last one leaves off. And if you like an insanely good storytelling and shooting Nazis in the face, this is the game for you. And I think that's something everybody enjoys these days, right? Shooting
Yeah.
Nazis in the face. At least I thought so until I read the YouTube comments on the trailer of Wolfenstein 2. But that's for another a discussion for another day. But what these people do with this game is like a magic trick to me, because they go from insanely over the top to subtle and emotional in a way that another game or another story should give you like a whiplash. But
Mhm.
they do it in such a way that it actually works. It's like if somebody took split in Crank and the band of brothers together, and it actually work. You know what I mean? That's how
Yeah.
it feels like. There's like this game has some of the most insane, over-the-top moments I've seen in any video game ever, and they sandwich it in between some of the most subtle and emotional scenes I've seen in any video game ever. And the way they pull that off is just nothing short of amazing, and I just loved every second of it. With that said, the game is super hard, like insanely hard. I put it like on not the easiest difficulty setting, but like one above that. But like that game, just on the normal settings, it's just too difficult.
So I've heard.
But yeah, when you put it like a little bit easier, you will have a blast.
I heard that some of the stages are not as, as well structured or interesting, like shooting wise and everything. Like the Manhattan is supposed to be really kind of dire. I don't know.
I agree, kind of. Like the first section when you're in Manhattan, that was kind of that was the weakest point of the game.
Mhm.
Especially like, oh, we're gonna go to New York. You're like, oh, I'm kind of excited to go to New York, but it's like a barren wasteland. It feels more like something out of Fallout than out of Wolfenstein.
Uh-huh.
But after that, it picks up and it gets a lot better. It gets more of its personality, because that's what it has in spares to spare. You know, it's just great. It has like some insane moments that you won't expect, and some insane moments that you probably will expect from the trailer, from seeing the trailers, but they will be surprising still, because this game is insane, and I love it.
I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't played New Order yet, but I got that for PC, which was not easy because I live in fucking Germany, and
Yeah.
as you can imagine, we are not allowed to play certain games here, especially those with, Nazi imagery, and the game has it in spades. So the only thing we can play here without issue on Steam and everything is the neutered version that, has the symbols changing and everything, which I wouldn't mind. That wouldn't be a problem. But for some reason, they made the stupid decision to also that game only have a German dub. Like, everyone speaks German in that game, which makes no fucking sense.
No, that makes no sense at all.
It's so dumb, and I don't want that, so I had to find a way.
You stupid bastards, you never learn. You just want everybody in the world to speak German. After two world wars, you just haven't learned.
Yeah,
but like
for some
also,
reason the German version of Wolfenstein doesn't have language select, so I had to find other means to actually be able to play that game.
I hate to open up a political can of like whoop-ass or worms here, but like why is your government so incensed about like the imagery of the Nazi party?
Well, because we have like this giant ass bad, part of history that is related to that.
But it's your history, though. I mean, we're the ones who died for your history, so why would you be bothered about it?
Well,
Nazis didn't kill Nazis.
Yeah, no, but we made a promise that this would never happen again. So we basically ban everything that reminds of that time.
Yes,
We
because
remind of
because
no,
banning
we
things just
remind
make sure it doesn't happen again. I'm not
no,
really
no,
sure
we
about that.
remind ourselves constantly that this happens. You can't turn on German TV without running into a documentary about the World War and how horrible it was.
Okay.
And what shitty people we were. So don't worry, we're not Japanese. I know they have a problem with revisiting and reflecting on the events of World War II. We don't.
yes. Well,
But on the other
basic-
hand, government doesn't want to risk that minors get caught up in that shit and everything. So they ban it from every media that is considered to be also for children. So they're not allowed in comics and they're not allowed in video games because those are not considered to be, adult media over here yet, like films. Nazi symbols are allowed in movies. They're well and intact in Indiana Jones, for example, but they're not allowed again in comic books, in picture books.
Even though the
and
games are like
stuff.
18 plus.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
it's
It's considered. Yeah, it's just something to. I don't know what it's part of the Jugendschutz, I think.
Yeah.
So so
Basically, the Japanese.
Look.
I live in Japan, so I know the Japanese mindset when it comes to World War II. But the Japanese mindset is basically like, oh yes, the Japanese entered World War II, and we did some fairly rude things.
yeah,
That's it.
That's it. Yeah. So
certain
they-
massacres in Chinese cities and everything
Yeah,
didn't happen. and Stuff
They,
like that.
they literally, the Japanese people were completely unaware. I explained to a rape of Nanjing. I like the rape of Nanking. I explained that to like a Japanese person one time. They were just like, "What? That really happened? What the fuck?" Like this Phoenix, like you don't. They really don't know these things.
There's one thing about Wolfenstein, back to Wolfenstein, it has one of the most like over-the-top insane villains as well. It's like one person you just love to hate.
Human
And,
Metal.
Those are the best villains.
He's in the game.
Huh?
Human
What did you
Metal's
say?
in the game.
No. But there's this evil woman that's also was in the first game.
So
called
Human-
Frau Engel, and she is
Human
like
Metal's mother.
the Dolores Umbridge to Hitler's Lord Voldemort. That's what that's what this game. Like you just hate her, and you like you just it's just the great villain.
Oh man, I hate Umbridge. She's the worst.
I know, right? Like that's why I make that comparison.
Awesome. That's cool. Like Human Metal is Human Metal's mother is like the Umbridge of the human. Never mind. I give up. Sorry, Human Metal. Merry Christmas, Human Metal.
To you too.
All right. So coming on to my number one. Oh, I should say yes. I want to play Wolfenstein 2 myself. But how
I recommend playing the first one first. I think.
why? I'm not Human Metal. I don't need to play the first
No,
one.
no,
I
no,
know
but
what happens.
This is a story-driven game, and it actually has like a really good story, and you really need the first one, I think, to get invested in the characters more.
Okay.
It
well,
works better, and the first game is a real fun like first-person shooter. Like you should like have a great time with it.
All right, yeah. Also, you should be able to pick the first one up for quite cheap, I reckon, these days. So yeah, but all right, Brack. There you go. Useful information. I will take you up on that. So I guess my game of the year is very very unsurprising to anybody who's ever listened to this podcast. Yeah. This year, the best Sonic game probably of all time was released. That of course was Sonic Mania. That's my game of the year. There you go. There's not much really I can say about that game, to be honest.
All right,
because-
good night, everyone. It was a blast.
Yeah, it was a blast.
Sorry.
Just like the fucking bombs they dropped on us, on fucking London bastards, Blitz bastards. Fuck, I hate Germans. I'm joking, actually. Actually, do you know, the Japanese really hold the Chinese in contempt. No, that's the opposite way around, sorry. The Chinese really hold the Japanese in contempt. Like, seriously, I've had a Chinese girlfriend who forbade me to speak Japanese, to have any Japanese products, or have any interest in Japanese products. Like, she was so laser focused on like being like vengeful against the Japanese. It was quite insane, to be honest. But British people, we tease the Germans all the time, but we have
And back.
But we still drink their beer.
yeah, but we legitimately have no bad feelings about the Germans. You know, it's even when we look back at World War II, it's like, oh, you pesky Germans, oh, you know.
I think that's not the case, but we don't hold like the Germans from these days in contempt.
Yes,
you know?
yes,
Like,
exactly. That's
Very
exactly
happy about that because I regularly go on vacation in the Netherlands, so that would be quite awkward if you did.
yes, that would be quite awkward.
And also, I worked at a restaurant for 10 years that 50% of the customer base were British because, you know, they were working in the British Air Force headquarters over here. So, yeah, there you go. That would have been awkward too.
Yeah.
That's exactly
But
it.
we all had a good time.
Bygones, people.
Like we only
you know.
use the Nazi slurs when it's like during soccer. That's all.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that is goddamn true
Also
story.
playing online, like video games, you know, the usual stuff.
Oh.
If you get recognized as a German in a multiplayer game, at least that was on Xbox 360, it was like that, you immediately get called a Nazi.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, jeez. I mean,
At least if you play certain games like with a certain player base, like online shooters and stuff like that, they tend to be that kind of bunch.
Well, I guess that makes sense because, you know, when you're playing like first-person shooters and stuff, war is very much in your mind, right? When
Yes.
you're playing those games, so I guess but yeah, but like bygones be bygones, people. Like, you know, like I remember my Chinese girlfriend saying, you know, oh, they committed atrocities to, you know, and it's like, were you alive then? No, you weren't. Were any of these people like you're castigating alive? No, they weren't. What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, just back to Sonic Mania. That's a switch.
It's very much in the Christmas spirit, forgiveness and everything. I'm
Yeah,
surprised
exactly.
that's coming out of your mouth.
And talking about forgiveness, have you forgiven Sonic for the atrocities he done in Sonic 2006?
No, that's never going to be forgiven. That's going to be the blight and stain that's going to like remain with Sonic forever until the day he dies, a glitch-ridden death. Sonic Boom probably saw to his like final epitaph in his tombstone. But Sonic Mania was a return to the 2D glory days of the Genesis, and it is the best Sonic game ever made, in my opinion. Even outdoing the classic original ones. It just took everything that was great about those original run of Genesis games and then just upped it slightly. The bosses, the level design, the music, everything about it is just absolutely pitch perfect. It's just a full-on Sonic love fest. Like on my original playthrough, I was ultra critical of that game, and I would nitpick like oh, this stage design could be slightly better, or like the bosses, the organization of the bosses is a little bit off, because you know you get like an easy boss and you get like a fucking really difficult boss and you get a piss easy one again, like this. So the bosses were all sort of all over the place. But however, after I finished it, I went back and I replayed it, and I've replayed it a couple times, and just like those original games, after you've replayed it a couple times, those nitpicks just disappear completely, and you're just left with this kind of fluid run where you know everything's coming, and you know you just get better and better at it, and then that's the moment where it just feels exactly like the classic Sonic games, but just better somehow. It's just all the good parts of Sonic, but none of the weak parts, and it's just a fantastic game. It's colourful, like I say. The soundtrack, I want it on my iPod. It's got one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. It's just one of the best 2D platformers of all time, in my opinion. It's right up there with Shovel Knight. It's fucking absolutely brilliant, perfect game. Like, and also, unlike perhaps some of the other games on my list, like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, I loved it. But to be honest, I'm never going to play that game again. I loved my time with it. I'm probably never going to play it again. Yakuza 0, I love that game, but probably I'm never going to play it again because I'm going to go on to the next in the series. However, Sonic Mania is a game that, you know, in 20 years I will still be playing, I think, occasionally.
All right. I won't, but that's what are you talking about? We're still talking about Sonic, or what's going on?
Human
I
Metal,
wasn't listening.
you've got
I
a week,
don't give
you've
a
got
fuck about Sonic.
you've got a modicum of taste. What do you think about Sonic Mania?
I like what I played. The problem is I got stuck in Oil Ocean and didn't go back to because that stage annoyed me. But that is not a detriment. It is not like dissing the game or anything.
What
It
the
was
f-
just
That was what the fuck, man? That was literally the best stage in the game. How the fuck did you
Really?
get stuck in
Oil
Oil
Ocean?
Ocean? Oil
Really?
Ocean was the best. It was the best
No.
game. It was the
No,
best
no, no, no,
stage
no,
in the game.
I did not like that.
I loved
Studio
it.
Polis, man. That's
No,
where
man.
I'm at.
I think like
I like that.
on Sonic 2, like I loved Oil Ocean Zone. It was my favorite. It's my favorite stage. It has beautiful graphics. I love the graphics on that stage. I love the theme of it. I love the soundtrack. So when I had no idea that stage was in Sonic Mania. So when it came, I was freaking the fuck. I was like, oh my god, they got Oil Ocean Zone in here. So I loved it, and it was for me that was the most memorable stage in that entire game. Yeah, ironically for you, it was the least.
Apparently.
Yeah.
I will go back to it and finish it eventually. It's just like, that came just not at a time where it was like, okay, I'm going to go back to it now, but I will. And what I played, I enjoyed it. I never owned any Sega consoles before the Dreamcast, so my real introduction to Sonic was, the 3D games with adventure and everything, and I enjoy a lot of those. But, going back to the 2D games, the problem is I don't have, a nostalgia, feeling for it like I have for the NES and Super NES titles. So I'm lacking, a bit of throwback feeling there. But, what I played of Sonic Mania, I really enjoyed. Until I got to Oil Ocean.
just to throw a little bit of credence, do you know who else's favourite zone was to Oil Ocean? Jim Sterling. But there you go.
I'm the mainstream bitch, at least when it comes to Sonic, apparently.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Perhaps you'll get.
But
some
I'm really happy for the Sonic fans that they finally got out for the Sonic cycle. And if it was only for one title, and then Sega hit them back in the head with fucking Sonic Forces, apparently, which seems to be a shitfest. Although I haven't played that, so I don't know.
In all seriousness,
Yes.
I really don't like Sonic. But I'm willing to give, if this people are saying this is the best Sonic game ever, right? They're saying that shit.
I think so.
I'm willing to give that a shot. Like, I'm not willing to give it like a big shot, but if it's free on PS Plus or something like that, or you can find it for real cheap, I'm willing to give this Sonic Mania a shot.
Yeah, go for it. I mean, I don't think you can go wrong with it. It's just such a delightful 2D platformer.
There's a good chance I will hate it though. But I'm just saying.
I don't think so, Brack. I don't think you can hate that game. It's just too delightful to dislike intensely. But I don't think it's going to rock your world because you don't have the nostalgic attachment to it. But I think it's one of the most serviceable 2D platformers you'll ever play. I think. But there you go. Hey. That's our picks for Game of the Year, but what's your pick, oh valued listeners? So please sound off in the comment section. And before we finish, though, let's just throw a quick spotlight onto the fact that this is the Radiophonic Sea Creatures 50th episode here.
50th episode? I've been not listening to Human Metal for at least like 50 episodes? That's insane.
That's exactly it. But hey, let's throw that into sharper relief, especially for Brack and I. Sorry, Human Metal, you're kind of vaguely excluded from this. So we did the Axe Head Assembly for 50 episodes, Brack and I. By and large, I mean, I think we were like -3 episodes or something, Brack. But like
we took that shit over like a virus, and then we just like
we did.
Went on with it.
Poor Hans, where is he? He's probably dead. He probably committed suicide. If that's literally true, I'm sorry, Brack. No, Brack.
There's only room
Brack,
for one
Hans.
German on this show. Let me say.
But we did basically 50 episodes of the Axe Head Assembly, and then now we have done 50 episodes of the Radiophonic Sea Creatures with our intrepid original guest and now co-host Human Metal. So
I guess we're done now. We have done 50 episodes of that one show and 50 episodes.
Like any
we announced our resignation.
That's it. So like any podcast you've ever loved in your life, on the 50th episode, our great surprise is we're done. We're finished. No, I'm joking. Actually, we're not finished, surprisingly. I think probably we all thought about it, though. Let's be honest there. But it seems like we're actually going to continue. So there you go. So please look forward to More.
Yeah, like let's be honest. If I want to finish the show, I'm gonna finish on episode 69. Let's be honest
Yes,
there.
that's a goddamn fact. Yeah. So let's
Also,
Right,
just like
and-
Sonic, we always come back with the new bad outing, even though nobody asked us for it, really.
And with that, please join us next time you attend an assembly for people with axe-related head trauma. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, you butts.